Aloha trainers! Looking back at the 2024 Pokemon TCG World Championships in Hawaii, it was an event like no other. The setting was stunning, but the competition? Absolutely intense. We kicked things off with a tough 2-day Swiss format, where every match felt like it could make or break your chances. Each round you had to bring your best, knowing that the slightest mistake could cost you everything. By the end of those 2 days, only the top 8 would move on, and the pressure was real. It was anyone's game and every play counted. This year's Worlds wasn't just about winning. It was about proving to yourself that you could go toe-to-toe with the best. The experience was a reminder that in Pokemon TCG, with enough dedication and hard work, you can take on anyone and truly make your mark. But it wasn't just about watching from the sidelines. Everyone wanted their shot at Tord and Azul to test themselves against the best in the world. Going head-to-head with players of that caliber is what makes this game so thrilling. Every victory feels like an achievement, and every loss a valuable lesson. And this is To the Top.
Being able to tell my 10-year-old self that, hey, your dreams actually did come true would be something magical.
For this year's World Championship, people had their eyes on two particular players that were able to make it into the finals of last year, Tord Rekalev and Vance Kelly. For Tord Rekalev, the plan was simple: make it back into the finals and run back what was rightfully his. For Vance Kelly, however, if he were to win this, he would be the back-to-back champion of the Pokemon TCG. Because of this, everyone had their eyes onto what decks and strategy these players and many other big-name players are playing for this tourney. For Tord, our questions were answered when he was in a feature match, and the deck he decided to play was Charizard. Now, it wouldn't be a Tord deck list without the unique text he would include for his list, but overall, it was a simple but effective Charizard deck. The key for Charizard Pidgeot that many people may have overlooked is that it's consistent, very consistent. The game plan is always executed in a simple but effective manner, with an early Charizard attack and a Pidgeot being the toolbox of war, supplying the players with the perfect cards to win in that situation. For Vance Kelly, he decided to pick a deck that had a good shot in making it far, a deck that exploded into the scene with lots of players playing it, and that was Regidrago. And there was a lot of them. In fact, I think majority of players entering this tourney was playing the Regidrago strategy, and it made sense. Regidrago was able to copy new dragon moves for Pokemon like Kyurem, Haxorus, and Dragapult, all showcasing its use case as really strong additions into the deck. There is another culprit that is a factor for this deck's success, and that's Ogerpon. No, not the regular Ogerpon, Ogerpon EX. This card allowed you to accelerate grass energies onto it very fast, which then you were able to switch the energies to Regidrago in order to get very early attacks. Long were the days where Arceus had to be the one to power up the Regidrago, as this strategy had the major flaw of having the high chance of bricking. Now, you have a fast, consistent strategy, so your Regidrago is good to go and able to use the really strong dragon moves. Oh, did I also mention when you use Ogerpon's ability, it also lets you draw one as well? So not only are you accelerating your Regidrago's attacks faster, but you were pacing through your deck very quickly to get the cards you needed to win. This made you so aggressive that you could win the game outright in the early stages of the game due to you crippling the other deck's strategy. If you were to bet as to what deck would make it into the top cut, Regidrago was definitely one of them. This deck had such a prominent performance in Day 1 and in Day 2. It had so many options in terms of dragon moves in its arsenal, and so many tools it could use like supporters and items to be able to go for the kill whenever it wanted. Now, even though Regidrago was the deck that we saw most in the tourney, we also saw some fun other decks as well. Decks like Shaman, Miraidon, and even Lugia. Now, Lugia isn't really a unique deck in terms of popularity, as there were many other people playing the Lugia strategy. We had fun additions like in Rahul's Reddy's deck, where he included Raikou V to be that flashy attacker to go for the kill a lot faster. Fun fact about Rahul, he started his tourney 1 and 2, being in a do or die situation. He then went back to back to back in order to be in contention for that top cut, so kudos to him. With that marks the end of the 2-day long Swiss cut. Many notable players like Tord Rekalev, Toronto's very own Lucas Singh, and unfortunately Ruha Reddy were able to land top 16, but were unable to make the top 8 Masters cut. We had some exciting top 8 matches that unfortunately I'm not going to be covering, as we're diving straight into top 4 action. And let's get straight into the top 4A match between Seinosuke Shiokawa and Raz Wolp. It was going to be a Roaring Moon EX versus Regidrago matchup, a matchup that was not on people's radars when thinking about top 4, but Shiokawa showcased the Roaring Moon matchup in a way that left the viewers thinking one thing. This was a one-sided slaughter. Raz Wolp was doing all he could to have the advantage in this matchup, playing a strategy that was favored to win the whole thing even, but the Roaring Moon strategy proved to be too devastating. The Roaring Moon EX was able to accelerate so fast due to cards like Professor Sawdust Vitality and Dark Patch, allowing the Pokemon to reach its energy requirement at even faster rates than the already fast Regidrago. Coupled with cards like Boss's Order and Pokemon Catcher, it was able to snipe off huge 2-prize attackers on Raz's bench, not only making the prize map easier for Shiokawa, but slowing down Raz's strategy insanely hard. This match ended up being a swift 2-0 victory for Shiokawa, the Roaring Moon player, as he punched his ticket straight to the finals, and Raz's run unfortunately ends here. Now, on to the top 4B match, where it was Jesse Parker versus Fernando Cifuente. Jesse Parker was trying to create the God Run by still being undefeated throughout the entire turn, piloting the Miraidon EX strategy. This aggro strategy was thought to be extinct due to its main accelerator card, Flaffy, being rotated out from the last format. For Fernando, however, his strategy was one that surprised many because he was playing Iron Thorn EX. If you consider Miraidon to be the god of speed, as it had one of the fastest ways to get a very strong attack off and being super aggressive, Iron Thorn EX was like the god of time, being the control deck to be playing for this format and for Worlds. This was due to the Pokemon played in the deck, the only Pokemon played in the deck, and it's, you guessed it, Iron Thorns EX. It had the devastating ability where it turns off all abilities that have rule blocks on it. Say goodbye to Squawkabilly, say goodbye to Gardevoir, say goodbye to Pidgeot, Charizard, Regidrago, Miraidon, you get the point. This card effectively turned the light switch off of an entire metagame, and that wasn't the only tool in its arsenal. It had cards like Pokemon Catcher so that it can shift around Pokemon, making it hard to attack. Crushing Hammer allowed you to potentially remove multiple energies off of a Pokemon in succession, making them unable to attack. This control deck had the toolbox to completely wall off strategies trying to do practically anything, slowly chipping away and winning the game on its terms. Even though this game did go to a 3-game series, Jesse Parker was unable to blitz past the control strategy that is Iron Thorns, making Fernando the other player into the finals. This made the finals another matchup of speed versus control. Roaring Moon versus Iron Thorns. The past or the future. Seinosuke Shiokawa versus Fernando Cifuentes. Another test to see if Fernando can build his defenses to protect himself, or can Shiokawa break through the walls with the claws of Roaring Moon. Welcome to the 2024 World Championship Finals. It's winner takes all. Game 1, Fernando shows exactly why the strategy has been shutting down the decks of many. He makes use of Pokemon Catcher to catch Shiokawa's off guard, grabbing the only Pokemon that had any energy on it, stopping the pace of the Roaring Moon deck entirely. Shiokawa could not re-establish a new Pokemon attack fast enough, letting Fernando secure the Game 1 victory. In Game 2, Shiokawa was able to put the pedal to the gas, as he was able to show the strong attack Roaring Moon has, which is Frenzy Gouging. This move lets you instantly blow up any Pokemon at the cost of being critical HP. However, for this matchup, sometimes the right attack at the right moment can make it so your opponent cannot respond. He uses this in a way so that even though he sacrifices his own Pokemon in the process, Fernando is unable to take advantage of the situation, and Shiokawa already has another Roaring Moon ready to go again, securing the victory for Game 2. The last game really shows exactly how great Pokemon can be. Both players were utilizing the strategies to the fullest, with Fernando being one with a hammer and removing all the energies off the Pokemons, rendering them useless. Shiokawa was able to show, like in Game 2, why he can keep up the pace with his fast and deadly attacks. As the game progresses, he decides to use the devastating Frenzy Gouging, forcing the game to go into a 1 prize versus 2 prize race for Fernando versus Shiokawa. The Pokemon left had no setup for a quick attack, and it was a race against time as for who could attack first. Fernando was able to attack first, putting Shiokawa on a one-turn clock to find a way to catch up. In the end, he was unable to do so, crowning Fernando the Pokemon World Champion and being the best player in the world. Fernando taught us something truly powerful about playing the Pokemon TCG. Success isn't about following the crowd, picking the most popular deck. It's about putting in the practice, having the passion, and trusting your instincts. Just days before the event, Fernando woke up one morning and on a whim decided that Iron Thorns would be his deck. With his practice and his insight, that whim led him to become the world champion. What Fernando's story shows us is that anyone can make it to the top, but it requires more than just the right deck. It takes dedication, hard work, and most importantly, the love for the game. Pokemon TCG at its core is a fun and creative card game, where passions and persistence can take you really anywhere. It's about the community, connecting with new friends, and just having a good old time. So don't be afraid to follow your own path, because with the right mindset, you too can make your way to the top. Hey you, yeah you, that was some awesome players playing, but are you wondering how you can make it into the World Championship? It's easy, I'll teach you, and don't worry, I'll make it easy to understand. Step 1. Find a store to play at. This part can be simple, but it can also be hard. My tip is when you go into any card store, look around and enjoy the space and see if this is going to be a place you can vibe with, because trust me, you're going to be there a lot. Step 2. Play. Whenever they have a locals, tournament, or even testing group, just play as much as you can. That's really the only way for you to get better, and that's the only way for you to be one of the greats. Step 3. The champ point system. Don't abbreviate it whenever you're talking about it. Anyways, this is going to be a little confusing, but this year they made it really easy for everyone to understand. Here's how it works. You get points depending on your standing in certain events, so do the best you can. If you're from North America, which a high chance you are, then you need to be within the top 125 players by the end of the season to qualify for Worlds. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Hopefully we'll see you soon in making it your way to the top. See ya, trainer.